What is going on, guys? It's Yoji. You might know me from such hipster build guys as Resolute Technique Elemental Bow Totems, and a question that naturally pops up to me when looking at the Ascendant classes is what crazy hipster builds do they actually support? What can I do with these subclasses besides the obvious archetype suggested by the art to use them in creative ways? Well, let's go and find out. Just keep in mind that not all of these ideas will be good, but hopefully all of them will be interesting. The Duelist's Slayer Ascendancy class is amazing for hipster builds. You can get a melee splash effect from Impact, which enables using all those single target melee attacks such as Glacial Hammer, Heavy Strike, Dual Strike, but at the same time it sadly sits behind two-handed weapon damage nodes, which makes it a bit awkward to take for dual wield builds, but combined with stun immunity from Endless Hunger or Onslaught from Headsman, this could make for some pretty nice melee splash builds. But my favorite Slayer build idea is probably using a bow with both Headsman and Overwhelm. Onslaught combined with insane stun capabilities will make kiting so easy. I mean, you probably barely have to kite anymore, to be honest. Add to that increased damage against rares and bosses to have those bow skills that have single target problems. And a lot of leech is always nice to have. Utilizing the Lionized Fall unique jewel, you could make a pretty beefy leeching armor based bow duelist. Next up we have the Gladiator. And when I hear the word Gladiator, the first thing I think about is magic wand combat. Wait, you don't? What the hell is wrong with you? Utilizing the generic dual wield nodes all over the passive tree for a dual wielding wonder is something I tried out before, and it worked pretty well. I was able to stack quite a bit of block, but the lack of the Wrath Pit unique shield, due to the fact I was dual wielding, was noticeable. Well, good thing we can soon get Versatile Combatant to cover that weakness. Combine that with either Outmatch and Outlast, which makes endurance charges available to us while we are traveling mainly on the right side of the tree, as well as frenzy charges, and use Power Siphon for easy power charge generation, and Slam on Conduit for awesome party play. If you are playing solo, you could also grab Gratuitous Violence to enhance the AoE capabilities of your Power Siphon or Kinetic Blast, by making enemies bleed and explode. The champion is not so much of a hipster, sadly. Taunt tanking is something we have not had in Path of Exile yet, so that in itself is pretty interesting. The most hipster potential can probably be found in making a low-life duelist though. During one of his streams, Ziggity had the idea of being ever so slightly above low-life and use blood magic to frequently get to low-life and above low-life again to remove status ailments all the time. In addition to that, to make use of the increased armor and evasion rating on low life, we would have to use Hybrid ES armor or Hybrid ES evasion gear. And yes, this idea is as edgy as it gets. But having fortified permanently might help such a build survive. Maybe with grace or determination or even iron reflexes thrown into the mix, something like this might be possible. Also, Pain Attunement will be moved to be a little bit easier to reach for a duelist. For the Shadow we got Saboteur. Trappers are already pretty fun to play, and with this they will probably become really strong again. There are already plenty of hipster trappers out there, ranging from Syrup Shards trappers to Mirror Arrow trappers, who both will benefit greatly from traps triggering nearby traps with chain reaction. Demolition Specialist might be nice for a hipster build like Char Siu Bao's Summon Raging Miners build, that summons Raging Spirits with mines. The other shadow class is the Assassin. Did you ever feel an urge to play Crit Incinerate just because? Me neither. But we theory crafted an Incinerate build over on my stream the other day, way before Ascendancy was announced. The plan was to utilize a ton of curse effectiveness, to boost the 10% additional chance for enemies to receive a crit that Assassin's Mark at level 21 provides, to well over 20%. This crit chance, however, is simply additive and does not scale with increased crit chance from gear or the passive tree. So we put the idea on hold. The additional base crit chance from Deadly Infusion, however, does scale. And with 8 power charges from dual wielding void batteries, yes, that's pretty expensive to do, we would get 4% base crit chance for our Incinerate. With 8 power charges, some nice crit gear and spell crit passives, over 50% crit chance should be very attainable. The Blasphemy support gem would make it so that nearby enemies will always be affected by Assassin's Mark, to make sure we permanently get the crit chance bonus. The charge generation from Unstable Infusion, combined with the fact that Incinerate usually hits pretty fast, will allow us to keep up power charges on bosses, where Assassin's Mark charge generation usually fails us. The Juggernaut for Marauder is not quite as exciting. Unstoppable will be an enabler for Itzaro's Dilemma, for example, and it can be used to counter movement speed reducing downsides of magic find and block related unique items. Undeniable allows for more crit Marauders, which is nice. Other than that, the tree mainly makes you tanky, so if you have a hipster build idea that only falls short in terms of survivability, come here. The Necromancer Witch looks very awesome for summoners of course, but also for casters looking to use minions as extra utility. This is a concept I have tried a few times myself with varying success. Flashbinder provides great defenses for casters. On top of the meat shield, a bunch of zombies already provide themselves. And as everyone knows by now, more zombies means more awesome. Mistress of Sacrifice adds to that concept. You can either get a ton of clear speed by using Flash Offering, or add some defensive layers to your character by using Bone Offering. This will not only work for casters, but also for wanders or melee witches. And lastly, Bacon of Corruption sounds nice for chaos damage casters using minion stability. Yep, that's a thing now. Okay, maybe not. The Ranger's Deadeye is strong, but not really hipster enough. I mean, you could use it with EK or other projectile spells, I suppose. And Raider is kind of the same deal. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can stack frenzy charges to the roof and become insanely fast and do crap tons of damage, but I doubt that is going to be very off-meta. And for Templars, we have the Inquisitor. Get out your weird support gems, because melee elemental scaling builds are back. And by back I mean they never really were there. But with Inevitable Judgment, your elemental damage ignores resists on critical strike. Mixed elemental damage always had the problem of not being able to get penetration. But now, whether you go added elemental damage scaling with Wrath, Anger and Heralds, or you do a full conversion from physical damage to elemental resistances are no longer a problem for crit builds. Righteous Providence and Augury of Penitence help with that as well. What are those names, by the way? And of course it does also have Wild Strike, or even Elemental fucking Hit. Aside from that, Instruments of Virtue sounds awesome for cast on melee kill, as Heralds and Elemental Auras add to spells as well as attacks, making an Elemental on melee kill caster seems quite feasible now. That's it from my side. If you got any hipster build ideas that I missed, share them in the comments below. And subscribe for more Path of Exile content like this in the future. I am Yoji and I will see you soon.